Hello, and thanks for tuning in today for your yoga practice. Today we'll do, uh, we'll call it balanced class. We're going to explore polarity. So think of this as a little bit of yin, a little bit of yang, right? We're going to do a little bit of slow stretching and we're going to do a little bit of movement. You might like to have a couple of yoga blocks around. I'm not going to do anything necessarily specific with them. They're nice to have just to support the body. If you don't have yoga blocks, you can always substitute a couch pillow or rolled up blanket or a towel or something. And you also might like a blanket or a towel of some sort. Again, they're not necessarily required for our practice today, but just always a nice to have to support your body. And I am going to remain seated during our opening, but I'd like you all to take constructive rest. So constructive rest is recline down on your backs, walking the feet out wide. So maybe they're about as wide as your yoga mat or wider than hips distance. And then turn your toes in slightly so that the knees collapse in on one another. It just brings a lot of ease and spaciousness to the low back. And then whatever you like to do with the arms, whether you keep them by your sides with the palms up, if you can take them to the belly, or one to the belly, one to the heart. All right. You choose whatever works for you this morning. So I'll give you another moment or so to just get settled, get yourself comfortable, allow yourself to feel balanced, allow yourself the opportunity to settle in, to arrive. Right, a little more than just rolling out the mat, like take a little ceremony with it and arrive and settle in, allow the body to settle in and down. Let's take a full breath in through your nose. And exhale, soft sigh out. Another deep breath in. Exhale, sigh it out and let go. If it's comfortable, allow your eyes to soften and close now. And just begin breathing in and out through the nose. Just taking another moment to simply tune into what it is to be in this body in this moment. What is it to live with polarity? What are they? Like, when you think of polarity, what do you think of? Probably opposites, right? Positive, negative, yin, the yang, sweet and sour, up and down, back and forth, right? Infinite and the finite, the physical, the mental. Polarity actually describes opposite forces that represent complementary and interconnected systems. And they're opposites, but they are still part of the whole, right? We can appreciate a sunny day maybe a little bit more when we've had a bunch of cloudy ones, right? What about the effect of having a pinch of salt along with a sweet dark chocolate or a caramel? And polarities can be complementary when used in proper proportions, right? We can't have all of one thing and nothing of something else, or our life is out of balance. So we have to have that yin, that yang. And the seasons of life are as well like that, right? We can't experience things in life to their fullest without having that opposite experience as well. In fact, without polarity, wouldn't life be dull and flat, like, right? If everything was just even, if there were no ups and downs. Our practice today physically is going to explore that polarity. We'll be doing some movement, some dynamic movement, using the muscles and heating the body. And then we'll also do some deeper stretches, some more yin-like stretches that are cooling and calming and grounding, where we use more internal energy or working into deeper connective tissues rather than the muscular, the heating part of the system. And as you all probably know and have experienced in your life, right? Yin and yang, they are the two opposites, right? Polar opposites of the whole. But not everything is black and white, right? It's not all one or all the other. So maybe as part of your intention today, we set the intention to be open to that gray area and appreciating the depth and differences and the need for these two things in our life, right? How do we know happiness if we haven't experienced grief? And just be open to that experience and what might come up for you today in your practice. And we'll stay reclined on our back as we take a deep inhale now, just starting to call the energy into the body. Keeping those feet nice and wide. Can you allow your knees to drop over to the right? And then as you inhale, bring the knees back up. As you exhale, drop the knees over to the left. Just go a couple of times on your own, just flowing with the breath, dropping side to side. So now we've moved from, literally moved, from stillness to movement. Good. The next time that you have your knees dropped over to the right, just pause and hold them there. We'll just pause for a breath or two. And on inhale, bring both knees back up, drop them both over to the left. Just pausing a breath or two. And inhale all the way back up. Now walk your feet in a little bit closer so the feet are about hips distance apart and the heels are underneath your knees. And we'll bring the arms alongside the body. A little more movement, getting things warmed up a little bit more now. We'll inhale and lift the hips up to bridge pose. So make sure that we're grounding through the backs of the arms, the backs of the shoulders, the feet, and the back of the head. On your next inhalation, press down into the earth and lift those hips up. And then as you exhale, lower the hips down. I'm going to do that again. Inhale, hips lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale up. Exhale, lower. I'm going to take two more. Up and down. Good. Up and down. Good. Hug those knees in towards your chest. And if you like, take the knees in a circle, just massaging the low back, and go both ways. And let's lower the feet all the way down to the ground. This time, walk the feet all the way together. We'll take Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined bound angle. Soles of the feet come together and just drop the knees open wide. Let's take the arms to a cactus shape. So extend the arms out from the shoulders and then bend the elbows. Just a couple of breaths here. Just allowing everything to melt, to settle in, to settle down.
I didn't get that. Could you?
Next inhalation, bring the knees all the way back up. Let's hug the knees into the chest once more. And we'll take happy baby for a couple of breaths. Let the knees move open wide. Reach the hands in to grab the ankles or outer edges of the feet. And if you like, you can take soles of the feet up toward the ceiling. And it is happy baby, so feel free to rock a little bit side to side. Even maybe let a little smile sneak in. And let's release this stretch. Hug those knees in toward the chest once more. And then lower 2 feet all the way down to the floor, bringing the feet back so they're about hips distance apart. Let's pick up just the right knee, flexing the foot, cross right ankle over the left knee. So taking a reclined pigeon here. You can keep the left foot on the floor, or if you want to go a little bit deeper into the stretch, feel free to lift up the left leg and maybe interlace hands behind the thigh, or even all the way onto the shin. Now we'll be still here for a little bit longer. So do your best to resolve to just be still here. But then you might tune into, even in the stillness, there's movement, right? Where is that movement? Movement in the breath, in the thoughts, in the mind. So even in stillness, there's a little bit of both ends of polarity, right? There's stillness and movement, all balanced as part of the whole. A little bit longer, just a few more breaths. On an inhale, we'll release the left foot down if you've lifted it up. Now, extend the left leg long, hug the right knee in towards your chest. We'll go into a one knee twist from here. So using the left hand, guide that right knee over to the left side, and then keep the right arm extending out to the right. Ideally with the palm up. And your head can turn into the twist or away from the twist. We won't hold this one quite as long. Let's see if you can find stillness for the remainder of the time that we're here. Good. On an inhale, slowly untwist yourself. Let's hug that right knee back in towards your chest. And then bring the right foot to the floor. We'll do those same two poses on the other side. So pick up the left ankle over the right knee. And then decide whether the right foot will stay on the floor or if you'll pick that up and interlace hands behind the thigh or on the shin. So tune in. When you first arrive, tune in, find the right amount of stretch for you right now, today. Soften your shoulders down, right? Especially if you're holding on to the back of the leg. So we're using the arms, but try not to build up more tension in the shoulders, right? And we're just kind of transferring the tension from the hip to the shoulder. Let's not do that. Yeah, let's just keep letting it go. And for the remainder of the time of this posture, let's just vow to be still. And again, even in the stillness, there's movement, right? The breath, the thoughts. I always find that when I'm in a longer held posture, the thoughts get a little bit busier, right? Or maybe it's just that we notice it more because everything else is quiet. But it's the perfect opportunity to call up your intention. Right? Rather than just letting the mind run itself, what if you gave it direction of what to think about, right? That's what our intention is. So just bring it to mind. What are you cultivating right now? Be the creator of your own story. Let's inhale. Release the leg down if you've lifted it. We'll uncross the left ankle from the right knee. Extend your right leg long. Hug your left knee into your chest. Good. Then using the right hand, direct that left knee over to the right side for the one knee twist. Left arm can be out to the left with the palm up. And I didn't mention it on side one, but if you have props around and you want to support your body, feel free, right? Sometimes it's really nice to place a cushion or a pillow underneath the right knee or under a shoulder or arm. And on an inhale, slowly untwist. Hug the left knee into your chest once more. And then release it down. Go ahead and roll yourself over to one side or the other. Bring ourselves all the way up to seated. So let's come and take a seat. For these next couple of postures, we'll be a little more still, and then we'll do some movement, and then we'll get still again. If you want props, this would be the place where you'd grab your props, blankets, blocks, anything that you have lying around. We'll take bound angle or butterfly pose, soles of the feet together, knees open, right? So we did this a bit lying down on our backs. Now, oftentimes we will, when we get into this posture, we'll grab onto those feet and kind of pull them in. The problem that I see with this a lot in a lot of people is that when you pull the feet in, it kind of causes the low back to round, almost like we're getting sucked backward a little bit. So to counter this, let's take the feet a little bit farther away until you can kind of feel a forward tilt in the pelvis, right? For some of us, that might mean elevating your hips, right? So if you still are feeling that kind of sucking back sensation, then you can elevate the hips up to get a little more forward tilt on the pelvis, okay? So let's take a full deep breath in through the nose. And as you exhale, just start to walk the upper body forward. Now, you can stay completely upright. You can tilt forward an inch or two, right? You do you. You figure out what works best in your body. And just lengthen the spine and start to drop in until you feel sensation. Now, the other thing that happens when we move the feet farther away, instead of getting a lot of pull and opening through the inner thigh and groin, this is probably going to give you more outer hip and thigh, as well as maybe a little bit into the low back, into the spine. Okay. So just watch out for sensations there. And if anything is uncomfortable, you always have permission to back out here. All right. Now, you could rest the hands on the floor. You can rest them on blocks. You can bring the forearms down. We'll be here for a little bit. Not terribly long, but 2 minutes in total. And we're already quite a good distance into that. A little bit longer, a few breaths more here. Slowly use the arms, bring yourself upright. Let's take the legs at a wider angle now. I'm going to turn sideways on my mat, so I'm facing the long edge. Depending on your distance, what's around you, you might do that as well. But we'll take the legs out wide for a wide leg forward bend. Again, same thing applies. If you take the legs out and the legs are straight and you find that you're kind of being sucked backwards, elevate the hips. Or the other thing that you can do here is put a nice bend in the knees, right? So the more that you bend the knees, you'll get more freedom in the hips, allowing that, that forward bend. You can also use your blocks. You can roll things up under the backs of the knees, all right? Inhale, find length in the spine. And as you exhale, just start to bring yourself forward until you feel the sensation, right? We don't want to go too far beyond it. When you feel sensation, pause there. and then make adjustments. Right? Once we're here, you can relax the feet, the legs, the spine. Time and gravity will carry you in deeper. So a little quote for me that comes to mind when I think of polarity and the yin and the yang of life, right? Is your current situation is not your final destination. And I say that to my kids sometimes, right? When maybe it seems like things aren't going their way, or they're having a really challenging day or time, right? Challenging situation. It's a nice reminder that, it's not going to be all dark, right? But sometimes we have to experience the darkness to appreciate the light. Can you imagine if it was just all lollipops and blue sky days every day? Well, that wouldn't be so bad, right? Mm. All right, let's inhale. Bring yourself upright. If you're using any props, you can set those off and out of the way. We'll stay seated for one more posture before we do some movement. And this is called fire log or double pigeon. So we'll take a cross leg sit, but as you take your cross leg sit, bring your now I'm going to do the opposite of you just because of the camera mirroring it, but bring your right foot, your right shin in front of the left. So the right one is either in front or on top, however you cross your legs. All right, now we'll make a little adjustment. So usually when we cross our legs, we kind of cross the ankles and the knees are open wider. Here's what I'd like you to do for today. So take the feet and the shins and bring them a little bit forward. So the shins are about in line with where your knees are. And then flex your feet. So instead of pointing the toes, you're going to flex the feet. Now take the feet and walk them away from each other so the knees come closer. So as your feet go out wider, your knees come in. So our legs, instead of making the shape of a big wide diamond or triangle, now the shape of the legs is starting to look more square. It doesn't mean it's going to be square, but a more square. All right. Now, here are some options. We'll hold this for a little bit on each side. Option number one, you can stay right here with the shins. So as you look at them, the shins are kind of parallel to one another, right? Rather than crossed on top of. You could also, if you have a yoga block or a firm book, you could place that underneath the front ankle, right? A pillow, something like that would work as long as it's nice and firm. You could also, depending on the mobility of your hips or the flexibility of your hips, you could take the left ankle. Wait, which one did I say is in the front? It should be your left one, right? Yeah, your left one. So your left ankle could also be on top of your right knee. So now instead of the shins in front of each other, as you can see, mine are kind of like stacked on top of each other. All right. But remember, you do you. Everybody's knees, hips, ankles are all a little bit different. Use props and support as required for your body. Sometimes it's really nice to put something underneath that top knee as well. Okay. So choose your poison, as I'll say. And as well, another thing that's also great here is elevating the hips up, right? If you want to elevate the hips, sometimes that gives you a little more space for the knees as well. So let me get the timer going, right? So I don't have you guys sitting here for too long. Just sit up nice and tall. If it's comfortable, soften and close your eyes. Now, feel free to stay completely upright here. If you'd like, you can tilt the torso forward into a bit of a forward bend or walk the arms forward. But this posture can get pretty intense. So we want to be in a shape that allows us to hold it without going, right? Soften, settle in a bit. Let's take about 3 or 4 more breaths here. And if you've closed the eyes, blink them open. Uncross your legs. We'll just take that the other direction. So now your right one is in the front. Right is in the front or on top or using the block or using the cushion. Probably a little quicker to get into it on this side because we already know where we're going, right? Do your best, however you're sitting, at keeping your feet in a flexed position rather than pointing the toes and sickling those ankles. All right. Inhale up tall. Exhale, settle in. Keep coming back to the breath. Keep coming back to your intention. Use that intention to help calm and still the fluctuations of the mind. Good. Inhale. Let's get out of this. Uncross the legs. Bring your feet to the floor, feet out wide. So we did windshield wipers on our back a little bit. Let's do a couple seated here. We did a lot of hip openers already. Let's start to get some of that tension moving out. So just let those knees go side to side a couple more times. So we're going to get up to stand and we're going to do a little bit of movement today. We'll actually do some sun salutations, a variation using lunges today. So in your own way, bring yourself up to sit or up to stand. If you have any props that you've used, you can set those off out of the way. And then bring yourself up to the top of your mat. So I'm going to pause and take a quick little hydration break. So bring yourself up to the top of the mat, facing the short end, and find Tadasana or mountain pose. So feet are going to be about hips distance apart, the heels underneath your knees, and you're going to stand nice and tall. Now, Tadasana is mountain pose. So it's more than just standing. Like we're actually pushing the feet down into the ground, energizing the legs, getting really grounded and stable. And then feeling that energy draw up the legs to the front of the hips, to the low belly. And we draw the low belly back to the spine, up to your ribs. Keep extending up to the center of the heart. And from the center of your heart, grow taller. On inhalation, sweep the arms up overhead. So the arms go up, the spine goes up, but not those shoulders. Keep the shoulders down. And as you exhale, Uttanasana, forward bend. Bend the knees a little bit, send the hips back. So you can support the hands along the way if you like, on the hips, on the legs. But bring yourself down to your forward bend. On inhalation, Ardha Uttanasana or half lift. So hands on your shins, inhale, come up to a flat back. right? So feel as though your back is nice and flat, shoulders are away from the ears, and you're looking forward. Good, then fold all the way back down. All right, now hands on the ground. Take your left leg and step your left leg all the way to the back of the mat. Now, if it doesn't go all the way or as far as you want it to, we can always adjust, right? But let's bring the left knee down to the ground once you step the leg back. So we're in a kneeling lunge with the right foot forward and the left leg back. You decide where the hands go. They can be on either side of the front foot, or they can be both inside. All right, let's inhale, lengthen the spine, look forward. As you exhale, take the right leg and step it back and find plank pose. So you can be in plank or kneeling plank. You choose what works for your body today. I'm going to choose my knees. Let's take one more inhalation in plank pose. So those hands are right underneath your shoulders. Now bend the elbows to lower yourself to the floor, or as I like to say, you're just slowing your fall to the floor. All right, once we're here, palms are down, just under the shoulders, and we're going to roll the shoulders back and lift the chest. So this isn't a push cobra pose, it's a lift. You're lifting with the muscles in the upper back. Good. Now press yourself up from here to all fours. And then downward facing dog, hips up and back. We're just here for a moment. Inhale, look forward to the hands, and then walk your feet up to the top of the mat. Doesn't matter how many steps it takes you to get there. Just end up at the top of the mat in forward bend. And then inhale up to your half lift. Look forward, lengthen. Exhale, release back down. Next inhalation brings us all the way up. Find that flat back position first, then push into the feet and bring yourself all the way up to stand and lower the arms down. All right, so we did kind of a half of a sun salutation. We're going to finish that up and do the other half, and then we'll come back and do it all one more time. All right, so we do 2 complete rounds. All right, so we'll pick up the tempo just a little bit on this next round. All right, inhale up nice and tall. Exhale, Uttanasana, forward bend. Remember, use the hands along the way to support, but bring yourself all the way down. Inhale to your flat back, hands on the shins or on the floor. Just find a flat back and then exhale back down. Hands to the floor. Pick up your right foot. So you shift weight to the left. Pick up the right foot. Send it to the back of the mat and then lower the knee down. If you need to make adjustments, feel free to walk that left foot forward or make any adjustments you need to. All right. You can even put a cushion under that back knee, but lengthen the spine and look forward, getting a really nice stretch to the front of the hips now. Great. Now take the left leg and step it back to all fours, and then kneeling plank. Remember, you can pick those knees up if you want to take a full plank. Bend the elbows, lower yourself to the floor. Cobra pose. Uncurl the spine, lift. And then press back to the knees to downward facing dog. Look forward, walk the feet up to the top of the mat. Uttanasana. Inhale, half lift, look forward. Exhale, forward bend. Next inhalation brings you all the way up. Find that flat back first, then push into the feet. Bring yourself all the way up and lower the arms down. All right, we'll flow through one more time on each side. Let's flow. Inhale up, exhale, forward bend all the way down. Inhale, half lift, lengthen forward. Exhale, forward bend. Left leg's going to go back. Step it all the way back. Slowly lower the knee to the ground. Kneeling lunge. Look forward, look up. If you like, this time bring the hands up to the front knee. Bring yourself up a little bit higher. Now, you always have the option. You can keep the hands down on the floor. You could also extend the arms up to the sky. On exhale, let's bring the hands down, take the right leg, step it back. So you're in all fours and then plank. Then bend the elbows, slowly lowering to the floor, uncurl, cobra pose, bhujangasana, back to the knees, to downward facing dog. Look forward, step the feet up to the top of the mat. Inhale to your flat back. Exhale, forward bend. Bring yourself all the way up. Look forward. Find the flat back and then use the feet. Really important to keep your back, your spine safe. And then lower the arms down. We've got one final half to finish that off. Inhale, reach the arms up. Good. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale, half lift, lengthen forward. Exhale, forward bend. This time the right foot steps back. Bring it all the way back to the back of the mat. Lower it down. Lengthen forward. So remember options, hands on the floor. Maybe you bring hands up to the front knee. Maybe you extend them up. We'll exhale, bring the hands all the way down. The left leg goes back. Last time through this kneeling plank. Lower yourself down. And cobra pose. Let's go back to child's pose this time. Hips back to the heels. Let's take pause. Let's take rest. Right. Make it easier to find the movement when we're still. But can you also tune into the stillness when we're moving? Right? I just did a lot of flow. It was a lot of movement. But even within that, there was stillness, right? Maybe just that every once in a while tuning into the present. Let's bring ourselves up onto all fours, please. Good. From all fours, step your right foot forward. So we'll come into a low lunge. This time with the right foot forward, we won't be doing so much movement. We'll do a little more stillness. Walk your right foot out wide to the right. So both hands will be inside the knee. So a little bit wider, deeper stretch to the hip. And you can, like I'm doing, I'm turning my right toe, ankle, and knee out to the right slightly. So it gives me a little deeper opening in the hip. If you have, your cushion, your yoga blocks, whatever you might have around, you want to take that weight off of your wrists, you can come down onto forearms. This won't be a super long hold. We'll just do about a minute here. Just shifting back from movement to stillness. Just a couple breaths more here. I'll slowly start to transition out, taking the right leg back. If you used props, leave them there, because we'll just go right to the other side. So now step the opposite foot forward. So left foot will come forward. Again, left foot will walk out wide to the left so that you can bring both hands inside the knee. And then you decide if you want to turn the left toe, ankle, and knee out. Again, stay up on the hands, come down to elbows or forearms. Whatever you choose, just arrive and then be still. Slowly start to exit here. Take the left leg back. We'll take a wide knee child's pose now. So hips to the heels, and then widen the knees out so they're wider than your hips. And bring the upper body forward and down. Maybe forehead's resting on the floor, or you can stack the hands or bring in a pillow again. And just pause here and breathe. Just letting the hips settle back toward the heels. Good. One more deep breath here. And then use your arms. Bring yourself upright. Let's take yourself onto your backs. So remember that reclined pigeon that we did earlier? We'll do that again. So we'll be repeating that posture. So come onto your back, feet to the floor, knees bent. And let's do right side first. So pick up your right foot, cross the right ankle over the left knee, and then decide whether you're going to pull the legs in and catch onto the back of the left leg, or whether you keep the foot on the floor. We focused a lot of time today on opening these hips up. So you might be tuning into or notice a little difference as we take this second pass through in our pigeon pose. And it might just simply be that the hips feel more open. Maybe the shape has changed a little bit. Maybe the shape hasn't changed, but you just feel more at ease here. Hopefully as well, feeling more balanced, more grounded. Let's uncross and switch to the other side. So now left ankle will be over the right knee. Few breaths more. And slowly start to exit the posture, uncross the legs. Walk those feet all the way together. Let the knees drop open, soles of the feet come together. Let your arms open, palms up. Maybe bending the elbows, maybe extend the arms wide. You might even explore taking the arms up overhead. So in our practice today, we used movement to be still, And we use stillness and deep stretches to prepare for movement, all part of the balanced whole. Let's inhale, lift the knees, extend the legs long. And just setting up for your Shavasana. Let the arms come by the sides with the palms up, or again, if you prefer, hands can be on the belly, or one on the belly, one on the heart. And as you settle in, as you arrive in Shavasana, just take a moment to mentally scan the physical body, head to toe. If you notice tension or holding or imbalance, see if you can breathe into that area. Bring about a sense of release, letting go. Sometimes we need the movement and the tension to know what relaxation is. Sometimes we need the movement to be able to access the relaxation. And then just let everything rest, let everything go. Take a few more moments here to simply be. No more doing, just be. Let's begin to lengthen and deepen your inhalations as you call yourself back from wherever you just were. And calling the energy back to the body, wiggling fingers and toes. Maybe bend the knees and hug those knees in close. As you're ready, bring yourself up to sit, maybe even doing so with eyes closed. As you sit up tall, we'll join the hands in Anjali Mudra, palm against palm, and note that even in this gesture of palm against palm, there's balance, right? If it was all the right hand, we would just fly out over to the left. If it was all the left hand, we'd fly out the other direction. All part of the balanced whole, right? There's right, left, and then there's the space in between. Maybe that space that we can plant our intention. Let's bow chin to the chest as a gesture of gratitude. A little gratitude to yourself today for taking this time for you today. And as always, I thank you for sharing your practice today. Namaste.